All right, how we doing, everyone? Yeet! Today we are hanging out. I have a job. My real job makes me. I have to pull audio from the Jerry Jones. That starts at 12:30, so I do have to be monitoring that. We're going to 12:30 today, but I've got something good today, boys. Oh boy, and girls. Andy, Robert, Rodeo, Nate, Carrie. First five in. We'll do a bandle if we have time. Having a drink from my cash cup. Cash. See that? Cash. He likes fish. The band Fish. Cash cups. Collectible item. Good afternoon, Daniel. Welcome in. Do you guys? I mean, I could do like I hear some big stuff happening here, 7 stories, and we can ram through it. Or do you guys just want to hear some wild shit? Because I got some wild shit. Read this story in the New York Times, and don't say I'm a mainstream media guru and the devil, but sometimes they have some good stuff and sometimes they have some good stories. And I read this story and I went through it and went, good God. And I think we're not going to have time to even do it on the radio show now just because the breaks are a little too short for, or the segments are a little too short to do what we need to do there. So I'm going to get it going because I have to be done by 12:30 and I want to get a bandle in. And we got the Jerry press conference. So shutting up now. Now I did type this on another, I'm not superhuman. I did type this on another computer here. And I tell you what, I didn't type a script out. I ad lib everything I do, but sometimes I like to write stuff. This story takes place in New York. It's in like rural New York. And it's a situation where it's kind of near Buffalo, but it's in the country. So you're not like, it's not the New York we think about when we think of New York. And I feel bad for the people who come in late because they might miss key details. But we'll get through it here. So this is a summer day 2 years ago. You're good, Tito. You're good. You're just in time. This is a summer day a couple years ago, and there's a cow and a steer that's walking away from a farm. One cow was black. He was named Blackie. The steer was golden brown, had the horns, of course. He was named Horny. And nobody knows when the cows got out or how. They crossed a field, they crossed a road, and then wandered into or onto a neighbor's yard. But in the country where I grew up, you know that your neighbors aren't always right next door. So they go over a field, across a road, and into a neighbor's yard. Type of thing happens all the time. But what happens here is very interesting because Horny and Blackie had crossed into an animal sanctuary that was owned by a lady named Tracy Murphy. Here's the scoop on Tracy Murphy that you need to know. You know, for the sake of it, let's just assume that this Tracy, who's here every day, thank you, Tracy, you're going to play the role of Tracy Murphy in this story. Are you comfortable with that? If you're not, just say no, because this story does go on weird turns, but like it helps. Like this is trying to make it, about us here. All right. So she said hi, so she's good. So Tracy, right? Tracy Murphy is the sanctuary's owner. Here's her story. She finds those cows in her yard. She herds them into a pen and immediately notified the local animal control agency. That's what you would do, right? 6 days later, and this is kind of how it works out in the country too. 6 days later, an investigator with the agency came to check on the cows. He interviewed people around the area and he learned that the neighbor, Scott Gregson is his name. He was missing 2 cows just by talking to people. The cows, it's very clear the cows discovered at the sanctuary belonged to Scott Gregson. Playing the role today of Scott Gregson is my man Tito. Tito, Based on comments, Manny would play the role of horny, but it's just how it's rolling. So Tito, you're going to play the role of Scott Gregson. All right, good. So Scott Gregson asked that they be returned, and Tracy Murphy is like, "Nah, I'm good." And then, on the advice of a lawyer, she demanded proof that those were his cows. Because you know what? If a stranger's coming to your house and going, "Those are my cows," and you're like, I guess you're trying to get rid of them, but she loved animals and again had an animal sanctuary. She's not really a big believer in the slaughterhouse and things like that. So she's demanding proof that the cows are hers or his, Mr. Gregson's or Tito's. Okay. So maybe it's a situation where like she asked if she could buy the cows, and he was like, no, she had already renamed them Little Willow and Ismail. Okay. So that was 2 years ago. Since then, this story has created death threats, protests, shadowy figures in the shadows in the woods. No, shadowy figures in the woods. Joaquin Phoenix, the Joker, is involved. Stolen chickens, and then a big court battle that is nuts. One of the lawyers ends up stealing some ducks. It'll all make sense in a minute. Back to the beginning. Newfane, New York, 3,200 people, small town. I'm from only 3,000 people. So I'm imagining only. We got Tracy, we got Tito's, Scott Gregson. Holy cow. This is how we're doing, okay? Before she came to own a 27-acre animal sanctuary, Tracy was a banker. But one day in 2004, she saw a billboard and it had a picture of a caged beagle used for product testing, and it saddened her. It made her mad. She searched the internet and learned more about animals that were abused by labs and circuses and farms. And, she said what hit her hardest was the cows. I mean, she saw videos of cows going to the slaughterhouse and things like that. So she had like a really nice life. I guess she was a banker. She's fine, but she was like, wasn't happy. This like awakened her. This was her passion now. I'm an advocate. I'm a vegan, all that stuff, right? So she started her own animal sanctuary out there in rural New York. All right. Gets a few other people on board, and they're able to start having a little bit of a animal sanctuary, and eventually she could make that her full job, while she's working at the bank. So she adopted some chickens and a turkey. She went to a farm auction. She paid $50 for a newborn calf. She named him Albert. And then she started hosting these Kiss a Cow events, which is like maybe not that odd. I mean, I grew up in a town that had the one-armed dove hunt, so Kiss a Cow events, and these people would come and they would learn about veganism, and they were very popular. These events, and keep in mind, we're out in the country here, so people don't have a lot to do. We got a Kiss a Cow event, we're going. It's like Janet Jackson's in town tonight at Dickies Arena. We're going to the Kiss a Cow event. The popularity of the events helped them win some grants. So they got some grants to pay for the care of the sanctuary, some of the residents, the animals at the sanctuary. So they get a little money here. There's a lot of this thing's kind of taken off a little bit. And then a quarter mile away, that's when her neighbor Tito, or Mr. Scott Gregson, moved into his new house. He was a New York State trooper, but he wanted to move out to the country. He wanted to raise farm animals of his own. He wanted to teach his two young kids to care for livestock. And he basically had fattened and butchered a cow, and he knew that could net a few $1,000s. So he was playing that game that is played all the time around here. All right. Then two of his cows go missing. Right. This is in July of 2022. So Mr. Gregson, who is a cop, okay, he drives to the sanctuary to ask for his cows back. Like I said a little bit earlier, 9 days after they went missing. So she had been taking care of them for 9 days. He showed up with a fellow state trooper, as well as the animal control investigator and members of his family. He was not in uniform. He was just showing up as a neighbor, but things then got a little bit testy. Now I'm going to show you what happens here. I think I can share screen this and we'll be Gucci. So basically, Scott Gregson is filming and Tracy is filming. So they're both filming this interaction that they're having together. This is going to be a little news story as well, but I think you guys will be able to tell what's going on.
Cows found their way to Asha's Farm Sanctuary on Kuma Road in Newfane. Scott Gregson, who owns McKee Farms just down the road, says the cows are his, but the sanctuary does not want to give the cows back.
How could anyone expect that we would hand over the animals when we feel that we're in our legal right now to hang on to these animals? And
I do. Okay. If you show proof of ownership, we would be happy to purchase the animals, from you. But then we also have boarding fees as well. Okay. So if you want to, talk about this a little bit more, we can talk about it.
Okay. Well, I'll come grab the animals. And then
no, you're not coming to get the animals unless you have a warrant. Unless you have a warrant, you're not coming to get the animals.
No, but you have my property.
I have a lien on that. I have a lien. According to McKinley Law 310, I have a lien on these animals. They wandered onto my property. I was willing to give you money for storing them for a week. I brought some money for you. I mean, but then again, I have a bill.
Want to buy them, we'll just take them off that.
I have a bill. So if you want to work something.
Okay. So clearly, we've got a big disagreement. Now, what she claims is that legally he was very calm. Okay, your money. He comes off looking really good there. But legally, she did have in her right, and she had a lawyer, she knew what she was doing because of the animal sanctuary that she runs. And she was like, I got a lien on it. So basically, you got to pay for it like that much. But you also prove to me that they're your cows, and then I'll give you your cows back. Because there's something that she said that's very important. She said right now. When she said right now, that changed my mind on things a little bit. The story goes a lot of different directions. But there's your kind of first interaction there, right? So even though Mr. Gregson claimed he had receipts proving that he owned the cows, which he would later show to the state police, that was later. He didn't have them with him when he went to the property that day. So she refused to give him up. Mr. Gregson finally drove off in frustration. That apparently escalated a little bit. So he leaves Horny and Blackie with Tracy. All right. So Tracy then goes to Facebook Live and starts asking her supporters to tag and share the video to let them know that law enforcement is violating my civil rights, she says. And because I will say this. One thing Scott did that I don't know that I would have done is he brought another cop friend with him, which is that's a little intimidating, a little kind of power play right there. But he's thinking we can go just get my cows back. And she's like, well, legally, I'm doing the right thing. Now, it's not real country behavior. You can tell that New York country way different than how it is down here, because down here, these your cows? Oh, man, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we kept them. Yeah, we fed them over there for a couple days. Let me know when you come get them. I'll come open the gate for you. That's how we handle it around here. Up there in New York, they don't know how to be country. They're out there faking it. And that's a big problem. No, he didn't leave Horny, Nate. He left Horny, the cow. He was not horny. He brought his kids with him. I hear that kills all horniness. From people I know. So in another Facebook, this is where Tracy crosses the line here. Tracy. So in another video on Facebook, she published his home address and telephone number. Okay. That's bad. That's awful behavior. So things are ramped up. Soon, Mr. Gregson receives phone messages at his home threatening to rape and kill his children. That's according to a document from the Niagara County District Attorney's Office. The town of Newfane clearly was not going to be on Tracy's side here. So they united behind Mr. Gregson. Then someone doxed Mrs. Murphy, her address and number out there. She receives threatening voice messages, emails, and comments on Facebook calling for her to be lynched. This is in 2022. Neighbors gathered for a rowdy protest, which I believe, have a little bit of footage of. And you guys are not going to believe this. Here's a little protest happening. It starts out about how you'd think it would. Got him. So you got a bunch of people in town, and they are getting ready to storm the sanctuary. All right. So they're carrying signs that say things like nacho cows or heifer hider. And there they are in the cars and trucks and tractors rolling past, leaning on their horns, hooting and hollering. And also to taunt the fact that Tracy Murphy in this case was a vegan, some men were they had a bunch of meat on grills, and they had like a line of grills, and they were cooking steaks. One guy, I think I have proof of this too. One man in a cow costume stood in the sunroof of a pickup and pumped his fist. Okay, yeah, this is the part. This is the part that kind of hooked me. Here we go. Get a little. Yeah. I mean, what in the hell? So these people are pissed at this lady for trying to protect these animals. So then, they said someone on a motorcycle also did donuts in Miss Murphy's yard, and it was tearing up patches of her lawn. That's all messed up. And that's when Joaquin Phoenix weighed in, because someone had relayed this story to actor Joaquin Phoenix. Now we'll say something real quick. I want to respond to this, Nate. That's country living, my man. There's time. Time marches on, but man, you have time to get involved in things that you might not normally get involved with up here, That's when Joaquin Phoenix weighed in. Joaquin Phoenix is famously a vegan. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. I don't know that I knew it for sure. They didn't look like Dingo in the cow costume. So 2 days after that protest, 5 state troopers, all of them friends of Scott Gregson, Tito, arrived at the sanctuary to execute a search warrant. They arrested Tracy Murphy. The neighbors got out, loaded the cows into the trailer. And when Miss Murphy appeared in court that evening, she was chained at the wrists, waist, and ankles, like she'd killed someone. She was charged with 3rd-degree grand larceny. That's a felony punishable up to 7 years in prison. The judge also imposed a gag order, which stopped her from posting any content on any subject on any social media platform. So she can't talk about this. Now, I don't know if this lady was a threat to society that you need to put her in shackles, but it just got a real citizen's arrest vibe. When the cop brings his friends, it's like, we're carrying out this thing legally. Just take the search warrant, take the cows, should be over. But then Joaquin Phoenix gets wind of this. He learned on social media because someone tagged him in it to get his attention and said that the cows were named, one was named Joaquin and one was named Phoenix. So that grabs his attention. He posts online and has a statement out to local newspapers. It says, to so harshly punish a woman who was simply showing kindness to two individuals who had wandered onto her property is astounding. So now this story starts getting a little bit of traction. So early in her legal saga, I'm going to introduce a new character to you, and it's a guy by the name of Wayne. Do we got any Waynes in here? I think Andy will be my Wayne today. You good with that, Andy? One of her lawyers was a guy named Wayne. We're going to let Andy have this one. He was a big time animal rights activist. He was a lawyer in California, and he founded a group called Direct Action Everywhere. It's a place that part of an open rescue movement and advocates for entering farms to free suffering animals and then report the conditions to law enforcement. Now, the idea is to go after corporate farms, not personal farms, but we weren't exactly dealing with the smartest people up here in New York, it seems. So almost a year after her arrest, the court case is kind of going back and forth. So she's free, but she's not allowed to talk about any of this. And then Wayne invited Miss Murphy to speak at a summit that he had organized in Buffalo. And they're speaking to a small crowd about her case, and then she left. In that industry of, or I guess in that world of like animal rights activists, she was a big deal because of this, clearly. So she speaks at this thing, and I don't know, then they taught 20 activists the basic aspects of open rescue, which is which farms to target, how to enter properties safely, take the animals that are eventually going to get killed and take them to a safe place. That's the goal, right? I mean, what a wild cause, and seems dangerous. Then a lady named Kimberly. Okay. Who wants to be my Kimberly today? Kimberly Simith. Let's see. Kat, you going to be my Kimberly? I think Kat's got us here. Yeah. Kat, be my Kimberly in this story here. Kimberly Simith is a local resident, and she took to Facebook to criticize the events. 2 days later, 50 chickens went missing from her farm. So she's crapping on that summit that the lawyer, Andy Wayne, held, right? Kimberly said, I always felt very secure here. Now I feel really exposed. I started questioning, what am I doing out here? And keep in mind, they're in the middle of nowhere, right? That same week, another farmer named Paul. Who wants to be my Paul? Let's see here. Manny's already horny. He's one of the cows, so he's already covered. Rodeo, be my Paul. Oh, Steve. We'll get Steve in here. Steve will be my Paul. Not that confusing. It's not that confusing. Same week, a farmer named Paul, Steve, noticed two people in his driveway. He watched a man and a woman approach his cattle gate, and they were filming his livestock with their phones. He runs outside yelling. The pair run to their car and speed off. He gives chase to them in his pickup, but they got away. He then goes on the news. She brought these people in. Talking about Tracy. If she doesn't get punished, it'll be all out war on us farmers. So he's pissed. Rightfully so. You don't want people farting around on your property. Many in the area agree. Days after the incident, Rob Ort, he's a New York Senate Republican minority leader. Who is my Republican of the group today? I need someone to be my Rob Ort. We have any proud Republicans in here? Look, you can admit it. All right, fine. Rob Ort. We'll make it Robert Weir. All right. Yeah, Robert Weir. He was second in today. He'll be Rob Ort because it is getting confusing. You know what? No. Yeah, you're right. Carrie is going to be my Rob Ort because I can see Carrie running for office one day. So, Carrie, you're going to be Rob Ort. You are the Senate Republican minority leader. He organized a news conference on the farm, on Paul Steve's farm, and he discussed legislation to increase criminal penalties against farm trespassers. He told the media, "This is a dangerous situation. The Second Amendment exists to protect persons and property." And I would remind these advocates of that fact. He's basically saying, you see someone who might be an animal rights activist on your property, why don't you go ahead and blow their brains out? That's what Kerry said to the media. He wasn't the only government official who wanted to go to war with animal activists. The sheriff of Niagara County. Who is going to be my sheriff of Niagara County? This is getting out of control. I'm sort of figure Rodeo. Rodeo is my sheriff of Niagara County. All right. So Rodeo then posted a warning on his Facebook page asking residents to be on the lookout for suspicious activity. At least 14 people responded to the post by making death threats against Tracy Murphy. Death threats online like a year ago. For his part, the lawyer, Wayne, who's Wayne? Oh, man, who was Wayne? I know I gave it to... Who was Wayne? It's important. I should have wrote all these down as we were going. I didn't realize... Wayne is Andy. So the lawyer... It was supposed to be a hard out at 12:30, but we didn't get there. Okay, so then Wayne, the lawyer, he maintained that the training focused on the targeting corporate farms, not family farms like those in Newfane. Miss Murphy said she knew nothing about the trespassers or the chicken thieves. She didn't know anything. At this point, she's kind of staying out of it. She's kind of quiet. She did a favor for her lawyer that way. Blackie and Horny did not live to see the fallout of their wandering. In fact, soon after Mr. Gregson Scott received them, Tito, he sold the cows and they were slaughtered, of course. You know, they don't even know we're talking about this right now. Wayne no longer represents Mrs. Murphy. His law license was suspended because he got a felony conviction for a protest in which he trespassed on a farm in California and stole some ducks. The charge against Miss Murphy was reduced. She still faces up to a year in jail. The trial is in October. So we will be tracking this in 3 months. The protests have stopped. You can still find anti-Murphy yard signs around the country that read "Support local farmers, not bullies." Miss Murphy and Mr. Gregson haven't spoken since their confrontation 2 years ago. The article says neither is afraid of their neighbor, though. Instead, they fear those who threaten murder on Facebook and Instagram. That is the end of the story right now. Holy shit. We got that done by 12:30. That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. What do y'all think? Good? Fun? No? I mean, yeah, I didn't have an explosive ending, right? But that's because the trial's in October. And I think some stuff's going to heat up around then. They're always a few minutes late on the Jerry Jones press conference. Let's bandle and get out. Keep it going. Told you I wouldn't have time to do this on the radio. We're going to 2005 here, and it says it's very hard. Okay, guys? Much like Manny. Man, I don't know. Does anyone have a clue there? It does sound like an episode of Yellowstone, doesn't it? Tito goes his bad habits. I'm just going to let him. Where do bad folks go when they die? Nope. We'll just skip it. We'll get to the next one. We're gonna need some lead guitar. I was all over it. I thought this type of music. Oh, you know what this is? This is Carrie Underwood before he cheats. I can't believe I know this. But that's Carrie Underwood. There was one part I heard. Correct. Boom. 3. There was one part. I don't know if y'all heard that. There's one part on this third one where you hear the down, down, and down, and out. Tell you when. Right here. Right here. Let's see what it sounds like if we keep it going. Good job, Evan. All right, no chance to go for 3 today because I have to pull audio of the Cowboys thing because I got a job to do. Thank you all for the cow story. What do you want? It's fun to be. Pieces, no deuces, peace and deuces. We'll see Deadpool tonight. I don't know when we'll talk about it, but we might. And radio 3 to 6, 97.1 The Eagle. You guys know the drill. Yeah, that's what I got for you today. Thank y'all for letting me tell this story to someone. Manny, thank you. Thank you all for playing character roles in this story too. That is bold, and to step out of your own life and play another character for a minute. You did a lot for the stream, more than you'll ever know. Thank you for being here. And that we'll close it out with Manny's catchphrase. Stay erect, everyone. All right. Goodbye. Love you guys.